My name is Andy Smith. I'm the Director of Adult Workforce Programs at Partner for Work. We're going to talk a little bit about training. Monique's going to talk mostly about training. She's going to talk about a resource that's available through the Career Link that all of you are probably pretty familiar with. Some of you maybe not, called Individual Training Accounts and the Eligible Training Provider List, ETPL. But before she does that, and I'm just kind of jumping in here, I wanted to plug some of the training programs that are available that Partner for Work invests in that are available to the whole network. Yesterday we looked at a slide that was kind of designed to illustrate our system, and there was that dividing line between governance and stuff the Workforce Board is working on and this whole ecosystem of providers. Well, the idea behind these training resources is that everybody in that ecosystem has access. And I think I'll be the first to admit that we've got work to do there. I think there was a question over here about how do we connect with these employer resources or these business services? And we should have a functional business service team, and we're talking about that. And once we do, as part of a core group, we need to expand that. We need to be better about creating the kind of connective tissue that draws the providers in the ecosystem together. So please have patience with us as we do that. But thinking about the industry partnership work that was talked about, that Partner for Work is engaged in healthcare and construction and technology, these training programs that I'm going to highlight are all kind of born out of that work. They have strong employer connections. Some of them lead to either pre-apprenticeships or registered apprenticeships. I think all in all, I'm going to talk to you about like 8 of them, I think, here. We fund about 300 or more slots for participants within these programs per year. And we want folks from customers and participants from the network to be slotted into these programs. So for most of these training programs, CareerLink acts as what we would call the eligibility entity. So you do have to talk to CareerLink and form a connection with the CareerLink and make a referral to the CareerLink. And that has to do with how we are enrolling these participants in these training programs. That's something CareerLink is equipped to do. So that's the way it'll be for now anyway. But anyway, in the financial services sector, Partner for Work invests in a program called BankWorks that's, I think, pretty familiar to a lot of folks at this point. It's implemented out of this building, actually. Leads to jobs in kind of entry-level retail finance and banking. It's also starting to spread out in the area. We're going to be implementing a BankWorks cohort in McKeesport in July at the Penn State Greater Allegheny campus. We support a program called the Introduction to the Construction Trades, which is implemented by the Builders Guild and leads to jobs in the skilled construction workforce, positions within unions and other apprenticeship opportunities. We support a similar program, Breaking the Chains of Poverty, from the A. Philip Randolph Institute. Also in the construction industry, leading to similar jobs, similar positions within unions. We support the Community Kitchen of Pittsburgh. I'm not sure if Community Kitchen is still here today, but another really strong program in the culinary field. We've developed a few programs with UPMC, one called Freedom House, which is designed to target occupations in emergency medicine and in kind of entry-level healthcare. Also with AHN, we support the Patient Care Technician program, designed to get folks into medical assistant and CNA positions. In the tech space, we support 40 by 80, which is an initiative of the Pittsburgh Technology Council, and their Apprenti program, which is that's a registered apprenticeship in the state of Pennsylvania, so that does include jobs from day one in the training programs. Tech Elevator and Perscolis as well in the information technology space. And then finally, Allstate Career Institute. We fund quite a few of their CDL training slots. So that's a list of about 8 or 9 programs. We call them industry recognized training programs. And they kind of fluctuate. We issue RFPs to identify and fund these training programs every couple of years. So some come in, some come out. But those are some of our flagship training programs for the industry partnership work we do that kind of act like feeders into these jobs, good jobs with good employers. It's kind of a cohort-based approach to occupational training. What Monique's going to talk to you about, the individual training accounts, is more of a case-by-case, participant-by-participant approach. You ready? So we'll do that for a little bit, and I think we're gonna have some remarks at 11. We're gonna have lunch a little earlier today, right? I think. And then we'll have the resource fair right out here in this hall. So getting close to the home stretch.
Thanks, Andy. Good morning, everybody. Again, for those who weren't here yesterday, my name is Monique Yost. I am a program manager for Adult Workforce Services with Partner for Work. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the ETPL, or the Eligible Training Provider List, which is a bit tedious, and I'm sure you will have questions. There is a copy of all the slides in your welcome packet as well, if you are interested. Okay, so an agenda, I'll talk a little bit about what the ETPL is. I'll talk about high priority occupations, or HPOs. I'll also talk about a little bit about the application process and where you can even find the ETPL to browse it for either yourselves or for your clients. And we'll also take a really quick live look at what the ETPL looks like currently. Okay, so what is the ETPL? The Eligible Training Provider List is an annual list that displays WIO qualified training programs, courses, and providers statewide that connect to regional high priority occupations. The ETPL approval process does not guarantee funding, so you'll apply through CWDS, or the Commonwealth Workforce Development System, CWDS, in which, as the board, we look at it first for the first 30 days, and then once we approve of the application, it goes on to the state. Each one of those steps takes about 30 days. Typically, it doesn't take us that long to review applications. If there is any challenges or things that need to be revised, we'll reach out to you directly to request those changes. If you have clients that are in the queue that are interested in the training that you're submitting for approval, please let us know. We can talk to the state and ask for an expedited review of your application. Okay, HPOs. So you'll hear a lot about HPOs. What they are outcomes from trainings and programs that are required to align with the HPO list. So if you're submitting an application or you know a training provider is interested, it has to align with at least one of the HPOs on the actual list. These HPOs are in demand by employers, have higher skill needs, and are more likely to provide family-sustaining wages. So to my colleague Bonnie's point about job quality, this absolutely factors in. You can find the HPO list both on the link as well as on the Partner for Work website if you type in high priority occupations. There's also the state list as well. Okay, so where and how to apply. Each year, training providers have to complete an ETPL application for each program. You'll have what's called a business folder, and I won't get too in the weeds, where you'll house all of your training program applications if you have more than one. But the ETPL program year runs from August 1 to July 31st of the following calendar year. So that means that each year, even if you've been approved for the previous year, you'll resubmit the application. The state has made it a lot easier for folks to reapply if you've already been approved. So once you get through that first application process, it's significantly easier. As I previously mentioned, ETPL applications have to be completed and submitted through CWDS. It's not on paper, it's not an email, it has to go through CWDS. The exception for that is registered apprenticeships, which I will not actually get into today, but if you have questions about the registered apprenticeship pathway to the ETPL or through the ETPL, just let me know. If you're a training provider interested in applying for either the City of Pittsburgh ETPL or the Allegheny County ETPL, we're unique, we have two workforce development areas currently. You can apply to both and or. Please reach out to myself. You can also take a look at what's required on the Partner for Work website as well for more information. Okay, so where to find it? There's two different ways. There's a direct link, and you can also go through, the easiest way to find it is through the Career Link website. It is not something that I would recommend rushing through at all. I always recommend that you take 45 minutes to an hour to allocate just for the application process. The state is really specific about what the applications look like, and they will kick them back if they're not meeting the minimum standard. We'll provide you, if you guys reach out to either myself or my program coordinator, Nina Apasami, we'll give you what's called an ETPL toolkit. What that is the training provider desk guide that they have for the ETPL, and that'll give you step-by-step instructions on engaging CWDS, on creating a business folder, on submitting an application. We'll also share with you a memo from the state. A couple of years back, they released a memo essentially giving folks an idea of what specific tick marks they're looking for that standard that we were talking about. So it really helps whenever you're completing that application that you know what the state is looking for. That also includes the HPO list that I mentioned as well for our specific region. And then, regardless, it's sent via email, and if you guys have challenges or if you're interested in applying for the ETPL, please reach out to us. We're here to support. If it's jumping on a Zoom call or you coming down to the office to kind of walk yourself through it step by step, please feel free to reach out to us. Funding for ETPL approved training programs. So we have what's called an individual training account, or an ITA. Think voucher when you hear ITA. Clients that are eligible and suitable can receive up to $5,000 towards training funds. To be clear, that $5,000 goes directly to the training provider. Clients do not see the funding. It's a contract that's essentially signed between CareerLink, Partner for Work, and the training provider. So sometimes clients will think that they themselves will get the funding. That is not the case. But ultimately, like I said, I'm not going to read through this in the interest of time, but ITAs are exclusively for ETPL approved trainings. So if you have a client that needs help with funding and it's not on the ETPL, I would absolutely recommend the training provider reach out to Partner for Work to begin that process. Because if they're not on the ETPL, they're not eligible for that $5,000. So what does it cover? ITAs cover anything related to training. That could be tuition, fees, books, school supplies. PA CareerLink also has a supportive service element for funding. So if there's something additional that they need, shoes, tools, clearances, what have you, they can reach out directly to their CareerLink staff and they can assist with that. Does everyone qualify for an ITA? Not everyone qualifies, but there is an eligibility and suitability process through the CareerLink. And just because you may not be eligible for funding doesn't mean you can't receive services through the CareerLink. A lot of folks think that it has to be tied to funding or supportive service. It doesn't. You can still actively engage the CareerLink system without it being tied to funding. On the second page of this FAQ sheet, it walks you through step by step what's required to apply for an ITA. This is crucial because timing is of the essence. So if you have a client who's like, I want to start CDL training tomorrow, it's not going to happen that quickly because there is paperwork that's involved. There has to be communication, and those documents have to be completed not just by the CareerLink system, but also the training provider and, in some cases, Partner for Work. So the earlier that clients engage the CareerLink, the better. There is eligibility and suitability documents that are in that actual FAQ sheet. So if clients are interested in what they need to have in hand or have access to in order to engage the CareerLink surrounding ITAs, those ID documents are listed there. Clients will meet with a case navigator or a case manager at the CareerLink level. They can be serviced in either office. For ITAs, the offerings and service are the same between the two offices. So if you have a client that's interested in ITAs, they can go to the Forest Hills office or they can go down to the downtown office too. Sometimes I'll talk a little bit about the tape assessment. Depending on the training, sometimes CareerLink will administer a tape test. If somebody's looking for like a mechatronics or some type of machinist, sometimes they require a certain math and literacy level, but it's very much as needed and case by case. How do you begin? There's two different offices, as I mentioned. The contact information is on that third page, so please make sure that you guys reach out to Kiara and Megan, as well as myself if you have any questions about funding.